So I've been debating Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria since April, and it's still a tough fight to call. Holloway's relentless striking volume and cardio allows him to keep the pressure on for 5 rounds, making him a difficult opponent for anyone. On the other hand, we have Topuria, who is a dangerous finisher with knockout power and sharp boxing. The MMA community is pretty divided on this one. Some are backing up Max Holloway, while others are sliding with Topuria. After giving it some thoughts, I'm leaning towards Ilia Topuria. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think Topuria is going to dominate Max, and I don't see him knocking out Max either. If Dustin couldn't do it, then I doubt Topuria will be able to. But I honestly think it's going to be a rock'em sock'em type of fight. It's going to be a back and forth war. And I'm not counting out Max out at all. He could definitely win. I just feel like a lot of people are pushing this narrative that it's gonna be an easy win for Ilia, but that's not the case at all. Look man, if Max Holloway just stands still, Ilia Topuria is just gonna rock him. No question about it. Max cannot afford that to happen, so he has to keep his feet moving and avoid staying on the fence. If Ilia catches him clean, especially early, it could end ugly for Max. Holloway's best bet is to drag Topuria into deep waters, relying on the cardio to outlast him while avoiding the big shots. He needs to stay sharp because fighting perfectly is no joke, but hey, Max's chin isn't immortal either. And look man, one thing I've noticed about Ilia is that he loves to back his opponents into a corner and just go wild in the pocket, and that's where he can wreck them. This is where Max could find some success though, since he's been really good with his movement lately, like we saw against Gagey or Arnold Allen. But even with all that movement, Max sometimes has a problem to stop just long enough to get clipped, like in those same fights. I mean, we saw Arnold Allen land some heavy shots occasionally because Max wasn't moving as much at certain moments. Same thing with Gagey. I mean, that's why he dropped Max to begin with. And even though Max's toughness got him through that, if he doesn't stay mobile against someone as dangerous as Topuria, it could be a game changer. Ilia's knockout power is no joke, and if Max can get caught standing still, he might be in trouble. And if I'm gonna be honest here, Topuria is the best boxer in the UFC, and yes, I do believe he's better than Max too. I mean, Topuria usually likes to slip a shot and come in with an overhand, and the only reason why he's able to catch people with this attack is mainly because of his timing, and normally when people get hit by one of those, they become more hesitant, and then Ilia gets into the pocket with you, and that's where he's so dangerous. Ilia Topuria is super dangerous in the pocket because he's got some serious power and he knows how to use it in tight spaces. He throws compact punches with precision, meaning he doesn't waste energy, and when he connects, it hurts. His ability to stay calm and roll with the punches using techniques like the shoulder roll and the V-step let him slip attacks and fire back quickly. What makes him even more lethal is that he's just not throwing wild shot. Everything is calculated. He'll counter opponents when they're overextending, and once he gets you on the defensive, he can unload with flurries that overwhelm you. Plus, his ability to mix in takedowns, keeping his opponents guessing, makes it tough to prepare for him. Pretty much, he's dangerous from all angles. However, I will add that Topuria is a beast when he's pushing forward, but he's not as comfortable on the back foot. When he's forced to retreat, especially against someone who cuts off the cage well, his game plan gets disturbed. A good example was his fight against Josh Emmett. You see, Josh Emmett had his best moments when he was pressuring Topuria, backing him up towards the fence. Topuria is great at using slick footwork like the V-step and shoulder roll to evade shots, but once he's stuck near the cage, it becomes harder for him to counter. Max Holloway could definitely capitalize on this if he stays light on his feet, keep the pressure on, and uses his kicks to disturb Topuria's rhythm. He'll have a good shot at keeping Topuria uncomfortable. Max is also known for his insane cardio and volume, which could overwhelm Topuria if Max could avoid getting pinned against the fence himself. The key for Max will be maintaining distance and never letting Topuria get comfortable in the center of the cage. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, I think Max could definitely land more combinations throughout the round, but I can also see Topuria landing 1 or 2 big shots that could sway things in his favor. People often forget that damage is the most important criteria in MMA judging, and honestly, that's a big reason why I'm leaning towards Topuria in the first place. Now, as for Max, I think his best approach would be to rely on heavily on kicks, target the legs, go to the body, and start jabbing while consistently moving. He needs to avoid staying stationary. That's probably the smartest strategy Max can use. However, Max does have a slight tendency to engage in brawls here and there, even when he fights smart, and that's why I'm hesitant to fully back him up in this matchup. Another factor that could be crucial in this fight is Topuria's grappling. You see, a lot of people seem to forget that Topuria actually has solid grappling, and it's gonna give him the edge in this fight. And look, man, I get it. Max has never really been out grappled or struck on the ground for too long. He's gotten up from Volk multiple times, and even when he fought Ortega, he's always found a way to get back on his feet. But the thing is, Topuria isn't your typical grappler. He's different. Topuria is great at mixing up, blending his striking and his grappling so smoothly that his opponents often don't see what's coming next. I honestly think he's gonna make this fight dirty, and not necessarily to finish Max with his grappling, but he's gonna throw him off with the takedowns and level changes. He'll probably hold Max down just long enough to score points and keep Max guessing. I don't see him not using this for his advantage, and in the end of the day, it might be too much for Max to handle. And look, man, I've noticed some fans suggesting that Ilia will need to secure an early knockout, arguing that the longer the fight goes on, the more it will favor Max, given his superior stamina and ability to fight effectively at range. However, I kind of disagree with that viewpoint and believe many are underestimating Ilia's fighting style. He is very selective with his shots and exchanges, conserving energy in a way that allows him to maintain a pace through a fight. Ilia doesn't waste any movement, which is why that narrative that Max can simply outwork him doesn't hold up in my opinion. I predict that Max will perform well for the first 2 rounds, but I can see it going the other way afterwards. You see, Max Holloway tends to have a harder time against smaller opponents because they can quickly close the distance, making it difficult for him to use his high, long, rangy, high volume striking style. Max excels when he's controlling the distance and breaking his opponent down over time with volume, but smaller fighters like Volkanovski are faster, more explosive, and can disturb his rhythm by getting inside his range. They also tend to throw tighter combinations in the pocket, where Max usually approaches is less effective. And look, man, here's how I see the fight playing out. I think Max will rely heavily on his kicks early on, picking his shots carefully, mixing up attacks from low to high, and jabbing to set the pace. I expect him to win the first round with his range and volume, but in the second round, I believe Topuria will close the distance and land some big, meaty hooks. And what I mean by that is big shots. They'll trade back and forth, but I see Topuria using his wrestling to take Max down, possibly keeping him there for a bit. As the fight progresses, I think Topuria will mix it up with his striking and grappling well, showing his full potential. I don't expect Topuria to knock out Max. Max is incredibly durable, but I think it will go the distance, with Topuria likely winning 3 to 4 rounds. Now, of course, it could go the other way, especially with Max's ability to adapt, but something tells me that Topuria has the tools to edge it out. And man, I seriously can't wait for this fight on Saturday. It's gonna be crazy that we're finally here. It's gonna get my blood all pumping just thinking about it. No matter who wins, this fight is just gonna be epic. We've got 2 fighters who seem unstoppable right now, and one of them have to take an L. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below who you guys got winning this Saturday. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.